open shot. Cousins. Full head of steam. Look out, ball. Bogdanovich, 3 seconds. Bogey for the win. Bogdanovich. If you don't like that, you don't like Kings basketball. Oh, boy.
Bonjour à tous, bienvenue sur ce nouvel épisode du SacramenTalk, le 6e épisode de l'année. Aujourd'hui, nous allons faire un épisode un petit peu spécial puisque nous allons recevoir un invité spécial que je vous présenterai juste après. Et nous allons donc faire un petit bilan de la mi-saison, parler un petit peu de la trade deadline et voilà, et se projeter sur la suite de la saison. Et aujourd'hui, j'ai l'honneur de recevoir Franklin Cartoscelli qui couvre les Kings pour Sports 11 KHTK, qui est le radio officiel qui diffuse les Kings. So Franklin, hi, how are you?
Thank you so much for having me, sir. It's an honor to be on with you.
Yeah, the same. It's always good for us to meet with people back in Sacramento. So this is very cool to have the kind of insides how it goes inside. So that's very, very nice to have you. It's an honor to meet you. As I said, we're gonna go from podcast in 2 parts. The first part we're gonna talk about you, and then we'll talk about the Kings. First, can you introduce yourself for all the listeners?
Yeah. So my name is Frankie Cartoscelli. I know over there it's probably pronounced Cartoscelli, which is the correct way to say it, but that's the way I've been saying it my whole life. So I'm 27 years old. Been covering the Kings this is my 2nd year. Grew up here near Sacramento, a little town called Yuba City, about 40 minutes from here north. Loved basketball my whole life. Played basketball, not well, granted. 5'8" guys that are not named Isaiah Thomas usually don't make it to the NBA. So when that dream ended, I got into sports, started working for the Kings out of school, and went to school in Chico, and then came out here in Sacramento and finished up and got an internship with the Kings. That turned into a job in events and entertainment, which it's kind of funny how it works out, because that led for me looking for more work, got into it with KHTK, started writing some pieces here and there, and it kind of just grew, and it became my full-time job about a year ago. So it's so fun being able to cover this team that I grew up watching. And it's tough though when you're 27 years old and they've been losers for 16 years of those years. So it's tough to kind of set that fan part of you aside and cover the team. But I feel like I've done a decent job of it. I can't lie, the losses still sting, but I just love the Sacramento Kings, love covering basketball, and most importantly, love talking about it. So that's what I'm doing for my job.
Yeah, that's great. That's kind of a success story, how we call here. So you get in the team via an internship, as I understand. So how did you get to give your candidacy to the Sacramento Kings? So you knew someone inside the organization, or did you just dive in?
Yeah, so it is kind of funny how it works with sports jobs. There's a saying, it's you have to know somebody. That's kind of like the age-old saying, and that's what I was told when I applied years ago. And it was 4 years ago. I had a good friend of mine who got an internship, and he was on the way out to join the military, and just kind of dropped a little bug in his boss's ear and said that I was someone who'd be good for the role. And I was lucky enough to be selected out of hundreds of applicants, which it's a crazy process. And it's a question of you need to make sure that you are worth that position, because there's so many people that would kill to have that job, and you can't leave any doubt that you left it all out there every single day and you work your butt off. And that's something that I've prided myself on doing, and it's why I think I've made it this far, just by working hard and being nice to others and being positive. And even though you're working for the Sacramento Kings, who there's a lot of negativity currently surrounding them as far as fans are upset and people are a little disgruntled, but just keeping your head up. And I've been told maybe I'm too positive sometimes about the Kings, but it's hard not to try to spin things positively. And because what are we doing if you're not having fun and trying to pull something out of it? What are you doing it for? You should do something else. So I really feel lucky to be where I am today. And it took a little bit to get here, 4 years of working a couple of jobs. I worked for the Kings, and then I worked for KHTK. I work for our, we have a soccer team they're trying to make it to Major League Soccer out here. I work for them for a little bit, and finally I'm able to put all my eggs in one basket here, covering the Kings. So it's been a long road, but it feels good to finally be here.
Oh, it's a great story. It can be from the outside. What do you do? I mean, what's your average day as a media member at in KHTK?
Average day, first you wake up and you hope no news broke while you were sleeping. But you go to practice. We have practices usually on off days. Because of COVID protocols, we now do our media sessions in the press room away from the players. But normally when there's an off day, we go in there and ask some questions, get some sound bites, get some updates, whether it's injury updates or just basic information on the team. On a game day like today the team plays at 3:00 our time. So is that midnight your guys' time? Is the game tonight?
That's midnight.
Oh my gosh, man.
Most of the games are at 4 a.m. in the morning.
I was gonna say, yeah. I have some questions for you a little bit too about
that
whole process, but
feel free to ask them.
Yeah, of course. It's on a game day like today, and today's an early one, but we get there 2 hours before tip off, and Coach Alvin Gentry will have his media session. So we'll get updates from there, put out some player news, information, stuff like that. Go to the dining hall, the other press members, just talk about the team, have some food, and then we cover the game. And it's really fun. We go up to our little press section, and it's nice to just lock in there and just watch basketball. And every day I try to remind myself that I'm getting paid to do this, and I'd never want to take it for granted. And just watch and enjoy every game, no matter how bad they are sometimes. I remember last year, the Jazz beat the Kings by 50 points. 49
yeah.
Points. Yeah, 49 points. Yeah, so
that's so great.
Not as bad as 50, I guess, but it's important to remind yourself how that is what you're doing, and you should be lucky no matter what. But then after the game, we go in the press room, interview the players, get more sound bites, get more quotes. But basically day to day, I'm just kind of, you're waiting, whatever you hear things, or you find some things to make news of, make it into articles, or make it into a point of discussion for a podcast. You got to pull some things, but also, as we know, things are going to heat up pretty soon over the next couple of weeks. The trade, or we hope at least, the trade deadline. So at that point, I have a little iPad with a keyboard, and if I have to go to the store, I'm going to get food or something, I take that with me in case something does happen, because we got to get it out there as quick as we can. If I'm getting a burger or something and the Kings make a trade, I gotta be on it quick and get it up for our station. Otherwise I'm gonna be in trouble. So just being always ready. That's just pretty much what I do day to day. And going to the games, and I'm looking forward to going to the game today. Hopefully they can make it 3 straight, but it's really fun to just kind of have something new every day.
The thing that most amazes me that most of the time we are live tweeting the Sacramento Kings games, and we obviously see the tweets you post on the social media, and we're like, these guys have a very analytical way of thinking. I mean, you post stats, and how didn't I think about it first? I mean, you got to see stuff. You got to have the box score in front of you, and be able to put to get something out of it. That's something that really amazes me, because like I told you, I'm like, what? He thought about it and I didn't, and that's pretty cool. That's what that's the difference between an amateur media like us and being a professional media member, I guess.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, it's sometimes things just hit you, I'll be wondering, and Basketball Reference and StatHead are a great resource for that too. If anybody out there wants to get into that, it's really fun to learn how to use that, because you can find those things. You can find Tyrese Halliburton is on an incredible run right now of assists, and you can find who was the last Kings guard to pass 400 500 assists in 40 something games, or whatever it is, and you can find that. And it's crazy to think about, but sometimes some people, they don't, like you said, why didn't I think of it first? It's like, well, maybe it's just the way to get there to finding the information isn't you have to kind of scrunch around and find it. It's a little bit of work, but it's fun when you find those things and you kind of feel like you discovered something, and no one's put it out yet or whatever, because I guess every media member is kind of racing each other. They won't say so, but they kind of are. So it's fun. It's fun to be able to have a resource and know how to learn how to use it. And it's taken me a little bit to learn how to use it, and I'm still learning. But it's fun. It's something anyone could do if they put the time into it.
So when you're not covering the game, you have a podcast, you write articles. So being employed by a radio like you are, do you sometimes get on shows or something like that?
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna start doing a weekly segment. We have a new boss who came in. He's the new afternoon host, and he's the programming director. And I think we're gonna start doing weekly. I'll come on for a segment. I came on last week for the first time with him, just 10-15 minutes, talk about the team, kind of like what we're doing now, just going over just the big questions. But I don't know if I'll ever be a host on a radio show. I don't know if that's really what's like suits me the best. I really like the podcast avenue. I love to gather news. I like to write articles. I like to write happy articles. That'd be nice to write more of those. But I love the podcast. My buddy Chris Watkins and I, we have a podcast called the Return of the Roar podcast, and we're still fairly new to the podcast game. We're learning as we go, but Chris is incredible at putting that together. He kind of is that's his baby. The podcast is so. It's fun to kind of grow and watch these things expand, and the fact that we now have more time over the day to do that. It's really exciting, and I hope that we get some good basketball soon, because it just would make it even that much better.
Yeah, so that's a good transition. We're gonna start the second part of the podcast, talking about the team. What are your main takes so far? I mean, from the start of the season to now. So try not to be biased by the last couple bad
games.
Yeah. So what are your takes on this team this season?
It's frustrating because I've watched the Kings since my whole life almost, and since the playoff drought started in 2006, I truly feel this is the most talent the team has had since the drought began. There was a couple teams earlier in the mid 2000s where DeMarcus Cousins, Rajon Rondo, the George Karl coach team, that team had a lot of talent too, and they fell just short. Even the team in 2019 with Amon Shumpert and Willie Cauley-Stein, De'Aaron Fox, when they were running everybody out of the gym and they just missed the playoffs, that was also a team that was talented. But it's frustrating to watch this team with a very talented backcourt and Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox, a very strong veteran presence in Harrison Barnes. Rashawn Holmes, it's been frustrating for him because he hasn't played much this season after signing that deal, and we know what he can bring when he's healthy. Marvin Bagley, he's been taking a lot of strides over the past 15 games or so, especially the last couple, of course. But I've taken most from this season that it's been frustrating because when they're good, they really look good to me. And I think they can make the plan and maybe even make a push for a higher seed, like a 7-8. But it doesn't seem to me like they're going to be able to put it together with this group. And that's why I think a trade is going to happen. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a complete teardown. But it's something I think they could use a little shakeup. They could use some fresh faces, and they could use some new looks to the rotation. I know that they're pretty shallow at the forward position, so that's something I think they for sure could improve on. But mostly just to put it in full, what I've seen this season is a team they're underperforming, and I think that they do have talent. And I'm hoping this is the start of something where they can kind of put together a streak, because we know over the past couple of seasons they do that around this time of year, in about February, March. They make that push and kind of give us are they going to make a run for it? And then the wheels come off. So I'm hoping that, knock on wood, the COVID stuff can hold off. They had their outbreak. Hopefully they can avoid any further problems with that, and put together some wins.
Yeah. So I see that I guess you'll have the same take. So some games are simply unwatchable. I mean, in terms of basketball, that's level 0, and some are very fun to watch. I mean, that's exactly the same group that goes on the field for the same games, and you have this inconsistency. I think that's Tyrese that said it better. The only thing we are consistent in is that we are inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you have ups and downs all along the season, and that for the past 15 years or so. So I'm wondering, what's the main problem here? Don't we have a winning culture? Because we had enough talent for the past season, and this season, you said it well, we have a lot of talents on this team, but what's not, there's no group effect. I don't know what's the word, but maybe
like there's like the chemistry, maybe,
yeah,
or the playing together on the floor. I do think that we know De'Aaron Fox is a great player, and we've seen last year he looked like an all-star last year. I think that if he had the season he had throughout the entire season, he would have been named to the All-Star team last season. And now you see a guy like Ja Morant kind of come in and he's playing like a superstar, and he'll probably take that spot we all thought De'Aaron was going to get. But I think the reason why the team hasn't been playing as well together as they should is because the emergence, and it's not Tyrese Halliburton's fault, but De'Aaron now is learning how to play with a guard who is ball dominant and is able to facilitate and pass the ball around, in a way we've never seen before. And I think it's a learning process. These guys are learning how to play together. It's not the teams we had before where Buddy Hield just plays off ball, starting with De'Aaron in the backcourt, and Bogdanovic maybe is playing off ball as well, or playing a little on ball. Tyrese Halliburton is the best with the ball in his hands at the beginning of each set. And De'Aaron and Tyrese are learning how to play together. That's not why they're losing every game. I don't think, but I just think when you have guards two players that are at the same position that are both the top two players on the team, that's where problems kind of arise. And I think the best example that Chris Watkins and I on our podcast always talk about is the Houston Rockets. Now, I'm not saying De'Aaron Fox back in the day, the James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Houston Rockets, whereas De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton, I'm not saying they're as good as James Harden and Russell Westbrook, but having a player that demands the ball in their hands, that's going to muddy things up a little bit. And we see it happen sometimes where Tyrese he'll control the offense and run a lot of good plays and create for his team. And then there's a little bit of inconsistency as far as maybe De'Aaron brings it up and the shot doesn't go his way. But what I like to see, though, and what I saw De'Aaron in an article with Chris Haynes, he said he thinks of himself as kind of more of a scorer now. I don't think he really is worrying about distributing as much anymore. And that excites me if the team is going to hold on to both of these players, because if De'Aaron can really buy into being that off-ball player and just be a scorer and improve that shot of his, I don't see why the pairing can't work. And that's why I'm a fan of the pairing staying together, Tyrese and De'Aaron. So
I am too.
Yeah, I'd love to see more of them. But I think the reason is it's a learning curve. They're all learning how to play together, and I think that they could use a couple more pieces. I think they need a deeper bench. Obviously, they're really deep at the center position. They need more wing depth. And Mo Harkless he's a good player. I don't think he's exactly what this team needs in big minutes every night. Chimezie Metu's been playing well. I'm interested to see if he can keep that up. But I'm all for them upgrading that position.
Yeah. I think like you that the pair of Tyrese Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox can work. As you said, you can move Tyrese in a position one, in a more of a point guard position, and move De'Aaron Fox on a shooting guard position, more like a scorer, as you said. So I don't see either why it wouldn't work. I mean, you have someone like Tyrese Halliburton who's like point guard like. I mean, you have all these stats about his assists lately are just crazy. I mean, you have his name right next to Chris Paul, so that's just purely amazing. So I think most of the fans here think now De'Aaron Fox's time in Sacramento is maybe done. Most of the fans think you have to swap with Ben Simmons right now, so you can have an all-star level talent. Maybe De'Aaron is also an all-star level talent, but I mean, you have Ben Simmons is maybe higher. But right now, I'm very a fan of this pair because I think it can work. If you have a guy who delivers assist and not the guy who scores, I mean, that's that's very complementary. I don't know if that's the
No,
word.
yeah, absolutely. No, that's exactly true. I think it is for sure. Absolutely. You want a guy that can move the ball around, and you want a guy that can score. And De'Aaron's he's not a knockdown shooter. I think that's the one thing he needs to become. And he can average 30 points per game if he can knock down the outside shot. At even like a 34, 33%. He doesn't have to shoot 40%. He doesn't need to be a lights out shooter, but he's just not shooting the ball well this season from the outside. And his mid range is starting to kind of get going. And we've seen that he's really getting into a groove offensively. And because I think he's taken some of that weight of being the distributor too is now off of his shoulders. And yeah, I know it's only been 2 games. They won 2 after losing 5. So it's like not everything isn't solved. We need to see what happens later today. The team could come out and fall flat. And then they play Detroit on Wednesday on the second night of a back-to-back for them. So 2 games the Kings should absolutely win. And seeing these guys play together and watching to see if De'Aaron and Tyrese can work, at least make it work over the next couple of weeks is going to be, I think it's going to be telling. I'm not saying it's going to be contingent on them working over the next couple of weeks, but I'd be remiss if I said, it probably will have a little bit of implication in what way the team's going to lean on making a move or not. But from what I've come to understand is just that they would like to hold on to both if they could, but I think anybody is available for the right price. So,
the thing changed along the season. In start of the season, you have Monty McNair who says Haliburton and Fox are off the table. And now you have Fox. He could go in a big trade. So I think the idea came up his mind that, and maybe that's a way to say to the player. So you have to give your 100% every night because you're not untouchable. And tomorrow you can be on another team. So I think it's a good way to do it. Talking about Fox, he had a rough start of the season. He was not himself roughly until midway through December, and he had some very good games in 2022. So that's nice to see Fox back at his old self. So to you, could it change Monty McNair's mind on whether he have to trade him or to keep him?
Yeah, I mean, it's making it. I think it's a complicated decision, no matter how you slice it. I mean, even if De'Aaron if he didn't turn back into the player he's been turning into the past couple of games, you know what he's capable of. And yeah, he had a rough start to the season, but I never thought it was going to be indicative of what the entire season was going to show. I didn't think he was going to struggle the entire season, and of course, he hasn't. His outside shot hasn't been there, but he can score when he's on it, and we see when he gets angry too. When he plays angry, he can get into the paint and just completely take over ball games. So I do think that it's a tough decision for Monty McNair to make. I think he wants to hang on to both De'Aaron and Tyrese, but of course, I know there's a lot of deals out there that could be contingent on one of those players moving. Now, again, we saw the report. Chris Haynes is a very plugged-in writer, great insider, and he has the information that the team doesn't want to move them, and that's kind of the same things that I've been hearing too. But it's something that could change at any moment. I know that Philly, the Sixers, they want to move Tobias Harris in a deal with Ben Simmons. Is it possible the Kings could swing a trade without including Fox or Haliburton? Maybe. They probably have to take on a lot of money and have to figure out what to do with Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield, and it probably would cost several first-round picks. But I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's likely a move for Ben Simmons gets made without one of those players. But I know the Kings they're like unofficially the front runner in this trade. I think it just depends on who they want to part with. Now, what is Monty McNair's ability to swing these kinds of big blockbuster trades? We don't really know yet. He hasn't made that big of a deal since coming to Sacramento. The biggest trade that he made, I believe, was for Terrence Davis. I think acquiring Terrence Davis.
Harkless for Bielitsa, maybe.
Yeah, trading Bielitsa, getting Harkless and Chris Silva. So obviously we know he drafted Tyrese Haliburton, and that was a great move by him. But as far as the trade market goes, he didn't make any moves in the offseason. He didn't make many big moves last deadline. So it's kind of fun. It's fun to kind of not know what to expect as far as he could blow everyone's minds and make a giant move without giving up either player. That's just something that I think we all need to kind of kind of watch for, but we also need to be prepared for one of these players could get moved, and that might sting. But you have to trust it's going to work out in the end, or hope. But as we know with this franchise, that's a lot to hope for. So
the fun thing to see is like it was the same with Vlade Divac before. You have nothing that goes out the front office. I mean, you have nothing to talk about, not any rumors. I mean, everybody's talking like Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield could be moved. Yeah, we know that. That's been 2 years that we are trying to shop them. Now the stuff about the Fox Simmons swap. So there's nothing that going out. So we really don't know what to expect from this trade deadline. What will be your ideal scenario realistically? I mean, coming this trade deadline.
Realistically, I mean, I don't know if it's a real. It's like a dream scenario for me would be the Kings swing a trade for Domantas Sabonis. I really think that he's a guy that could come in and really shore up the Kings the front line. I think that the idea of moving Richaun Holmes to some power forward minutes, that's something that I think has been toyed around with. Now they probably need more depth behind those two players, but that's a pretty enticing front line, having Richaun Holmes and Domantas Sabonis, especially when you look at the success that the Cleveland Cavaliers have had with all of their bigs. I mean, they came in here in Sacramento the other night and they gave the Kings hell on the inside. So it's the best case scenario, I think, for me, of course, a Ben Simmons trade, not including Harrison or Tyrese, but I think there's a way that the Kings could acquire Sabonis by a combination of Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, maybe Buddy Hield could possibly fit into that. I know that the Pacers have had their eyes on Buddy for a while now, and maybe a first-round pick, because I think having Sabonis, who I believe is under contract for 3 more seasons, all-star center, we know what he can bring on a nightly basis. That's a deal I really would like the Kings to make. I know the Pacers they're pretty much all but out of the playoff race at this point, and they'll be looking to move one or both of Miles Turner and Sabonis. So my ideal scenario, dream scenario, would be for the Kings to bring in Sabonis. I just think that's more of a realistic shot than bringing in Ben Simmons at this point, if they don't want to give up Fox. Now, if they were to make a deal for Ben Simmons, I would really like an ideal situation would be Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, and or Buddy Hield, and some first-round picks, which hurts to give up. But if you can bring back Ben Simmons, I mean, you have Ben Simmons, Tyrese Haliburton, and De'Aaron Fox on the same team. You'll hope you won't need to worry about those first-round picks. It's an asset the Kings have right now. I think that should be played around with a little bit. The first-round picks, they're probably the Kings' most enticing option via trade, is those first-round picks, because we know the Kings are in the top 10 every single year. And right now it's looking like that too. But if they want to get out of that hole, you got to kind of swing for the fences. And we saw Vlade Divac did it. The last time he did it was in 2015, I believe. Didn't work out very well. The Kings should have picked, I believe, 3rd, and they dropped to 5th. Now they got De'Aaron Fox in that draft, sure, but they could have selected Jason Tatum, who at this point I believe is a better player than De'Aaron Fox. So, of course, the team might have taken De'Aaron Fox anyway. But the first round picks are something I'd keep my eyes on being attached to make some of these bigger moves more possible.
Yeah, that could be a difference maker in the making of a deal. Sorry, I lost what I'm trying to say. We talked about it in a different podcast with some of my friends here, and we think maybe if you can get either of Ben Simmons or Domantas Sabonis or another big name that is on the market right now, just having new faces on the team could be refreshing. I mean, you can bring a new dynamic, try to push for the play-in and maybe the playoffs. I think the whole point right now is to shake this roster a little bit. You can pass the deadline and do nothing. I mean, that's where we can judge Monty McNair, is what he will do at this trade deadline. I mean, I think he's kind of getting on a hot seat right now if he doesn't do anything at the trade deadline. So maybe that's unfair, because he's only been here for roughly half and 1.5 season, but he has to do something. Maybe just show he tried. I mean,
Mhm.
you can go with maybe Terence Ross or some players like
Sure.
that. You
Oh yeah.
that are good. That not the level of Ben Simmons, Domantas Sabonis, or anything, but you just give this team a refreshing look, and some guys are eager to go, which are hungry to get the playoffs. So I think that's the main thing.
No, I agree. I agree. He hasn't made a giant move yet, and I think that if the deadline passes and nothing happens, which I don't think is going to happen, I think they're going to do something. But if the deadline were to pass and Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield are still on the team, Marvin Bagley still on the team, it's a failure for another season of moves. So they need to shore up their depth. They need to make these moves. And I know Buddy Hield, they've been trying to trade him for 2 seasons now. Harrison Barnes is someone I would hate to see the Kings move him because I like what he brings. He's such a good presence in the locker room and just a good guy. But it's something that might have to happen for this team. So yeah, I agree. I definitely agree that it's crunch time for Monty. I think this is his time to kind of show, hey, like I can make these deals and I can improve this team and get us where we want to be. Because right now it's kind of been just a very quiet year and a half, 2 years. So we're ready for some fireworks.
Yeah, because he did draft very well with Tyrese and Davion Mitchell, but I think people want to see more of with trades. I mean, we all agree that these moves were the right calls. I mean, drafting Haliburton and Mitchell were the right calls. Bringing Arkless, Terrence Davis were the right calls, but this is now not enough to. This was to get a push, the end of the season push to get to the playoff, but didn't work. But now you have to maybe think bigger. You can't just go through the trade deadline with and do the same thing that he did last year. I mean, with Arkless and Davis and stuff. You have to go. You have to dream bigger, and go get some players who are eager to play.
Difference makers.
Yeah,
you need difference makers. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we talked about it, but yeah, you clearly think Monty McNair's job is in jeopardy if he doesn't move at the trade deadline. I mean, if he doesn't shake up the roster, do you think he could be in jeopardy at the end of the season?
I think that if the deadline passes and he does absolutely nothing, for sure, like I think he's in trouble. But I have like a 99% chance that he'll do something. I think one of Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, or Marvin Bagley will for sure be moved, or all of them. Which it's sad to see that the end of the Marvin Bagley era is going to be over. But he has talent, and I it's going to hurt because I think he's going to go somewhere else and be a good player. And I was hoping he'd be here, but you see what he can do. Last game, I know it was against the Rockets, but he's been playing well since he's moved in the starting lineup. And I think he will go somewhere and exceed. So I think if no moves are made, Monty's, his seat's going to be a little warm, but I would expect either a very big move or at least a move that's going to bring in a decent player for the Kings coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. So talking about Marvin Bagley, I think this kid has a great mentality. I mean, you remember at the start of the season where Luke Walton said, "You're not going in the starting lineup. You're not going to be in a rotation." That I believe this is Jeff Schwartz, his agent, who said he was very pissed against the team. So he was not playing so much under Luke Walton. Gentry gave him his chance, and now he's taking full advantage of it. And now this is really great to see that he still has this hunger, this mentality to go on the field and give 200% every night. This is very, very appreciative of this kid, and I believe, like you, he will maybe explode and be a very good role player on another team, maybe something like OKC or Detroit or something like that. I'd like to see him play with Kate Cunningham. I think that could be a great fit for him. And I will be happy to see him strive on another team because I think now maybe it's time in Sacramento is done. I mean, he's been through a lot. He's been through hell. Maybe fans gave him a hard time too. So maybe it will be good for him to have a fresh start elsewhere.
No, I agree. It's tough because he's been a good player since he's been drafted. He's had some unfortunate injuries, and 2 seasons ago, or a season ago, the injuries were, he broke his hand two different times. It was a finger one time, then a wrist, and he had like a knee sprain. It's been a bunch of random injuries, and it's unfortunate because he's been a good player since he's been in the league. He's averaging, I think, 14 and 8 and shooting almost 50% from the field. Those are good numbers for a role player. I mean, it's not number 2 overall worthy. We know that, and the Luka Doncic situation is not great. I understand that, but it's unfortunate that Kings fans have to compare him, which rightfully so. They made the wrong move by picking him, and there needs to be some comparison. They can't sweep that under the rug. There's no way you can sweep Luka Doncic under the rug. I understand that, but what's been swept under the rug to me is the fact that Marvin Bagley is a good role player who just needs a chance. He needs a chance to grow, and he's only 22 years old. There's only a handful of guys on the team that are younger than him, or older than him, younger than him. Yeah, younger than him. So it's really going to be hard to watch. Like you said, he could go to Detroit, Oklahoma City, teams like that, where they are at the bottom of the standings, but they could take a chance on a young guy like him. Even Indiana, like in that move I mentioned, if they trade him to the Pacers, he could thrive in a situation like that, where he's more of a 1, 2, 3 option versus where he's kind of the 4th, 5th here. So it's sad that this is probably the last month we're going to be talking about Marvin Bagley and his time in Sacramento, but he's going out with a bang. So he's posting big numbers and raising that trade value, probably at the best time. And I think he knows that too. So, yeah.
Maybe I had some comments on Twitter, the guy saying maybe he's playing well now because he want to raise his trade value. But I mean, you have to have the capacities to do that. I mean, not every player is capable of raising your level of playing to get your trade value up, but Marvin is doing it the right way. So that's very cool for him. Maybe we'll see the last season. Monty McNair tried to trade him against maybe it was Saddiq Bey from the Pistons, and I believe a 2nd round pick. So it hurts to see. You cannot trade a guy like that against such a poor value.
Saddiq Bey has been great. So that I don't blame good on the Pistons to say no to that. Yeah. I mean, Marvin's a good player too, but Saddiq Bey, that would have been a great move, the Kings, to have Saddiq Bey.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what the Kings could get for him in a 1 for 1, but I could imagine him being part of a bigger deal just because of his salary, how it could work with Buddy Hield, who's making a lot, or Harrison Barnes, or if they want to combine all 3 for a huge blockbuster deal where they bring back 2 players like Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons if they had to. So sad to see Marvin go if that time does come, but I know that he'll thrive elsewhere, and hopefully the Kings replace him with the right guy if he's not going to be the one. So
to go on a more fun topic, you talked earlier that you were going to press rooms and anything and stuff like that. Purely subjective, do you have a player you absolutely love on press conference? Some guy who's great with the media,
well, I'll say I'll think of a player too, but Alvin Gentry is just gold. He's gold in the press room. He's so funny, and I've been watching him obviously as a coach since I was a kid, and I've looked back at some old clips. He's been funny in the press room for his whole entire career. He doesn't deserve the credit he gets for being a funny guy. After every press conference, he'll go to the door where you have to scan the badge to leave, and he'll scan it. And one day there was some trouble and the door wouldn't open, and he just kind of said, "Uh-oh, I think my time's up." And then finally the door opens, and now every time he opens the door, and he'll look back at us and go, "Still here, baby. Like we're still going. Like, I'm still here. Like I got my job." So he does it every day. But a player that always has a lot of fun with the media, Buddy Hield, he has a lot of fun with the press. He's always poking fun at some of the guys in a fun way, but he's always a lot of fun whenever we have him out there. Just hearing his sound bites. And then obviously Tyrese is a lot of fun. He's a guy that has been he's such a smart basketball player, and it seems like a very smart person too. And he has a lot of fun with Brendan Nunez, who writes for the Kings Herald and reports for the Kings as well. Brendan had a quote earlier in the season asking Luke Walton if he was kind of not hiding Tyrese, but kind of like just making sure Tyrese wasn't the guard, a player of the best player, what have you, kind of putting him off on the side. But Tyrese somehow caught wind of that, and now after every game he asks, "Where's Brendan? Like, how's my defense tonight? Like, I want to know how my defense is." So if you look at his Twitter after every game, there's usually an interaction between those two. But as bad as the team has been, there's a lot of it's lighthearted for the most time when we see these guys, and when they lose, they're down, but when they win, we have some fun. So it's been fun the last 2 games, and I hope that it continues to go that way, because when the Kings are winning and the players are happy, we get some good sound bites.
When we had the chance to come to Sacramento just before the lockdown, the first lockdown, I believe it was early March 2020, and we had the chance to meet Harry Giles. We've been able to get I think credential pass to get in the locker room and all the hallways, and we had the chance to meet with Harry in the locker room just before a game, and right after the game we stood in the hallway waiting to go in the locker room for the press conference, and it just recognizes us and go fist bump with us, and we're like, wow, that guy is great. I mean, yeah.
Incredible, right? He's kind of like, like these guys are just huge. I remember my first day back when I got my internship. The first preseason game was against the San Antonio Spurs, and one of the things we did was bring fans down to the court, and they got to have an experience and stuff like that. And I walked by Pau Gasol. He was like the first NBA player I'd ever gotten to walk by in that close in person, and I just could not believe, like what the heck? These guys are huge. So it's cool that you got to meet that cool experience, especially before everything that happened. But I have a couple questions for you real quick. If you don't mind. First of all, well, how did you come to follow and enjoy watching the Sacramento Kings? How'd that process come about?
I was an NBA fan for as long as I can remember, watching Kobe playing in I believe I started following the NBA. It was like 2007, stuff like that, and I didn't have a team I liked most, but I saw DeMarcus Cousins play with Kentucky, and I really liked this player. And when he got drafted by the Kings, I was like, what the hell, go to the Kings and to see my guys thrive. And that's how it started. I believe this draft was 2010. Yeah.
So you haven't seen a winning season since you came on. I'm so sorry, man. but it's incredible to see the presence that the Kings have over in Europe and in other countries. And Portugal obviously is loving Nemias Keita right now. But you've built such a huge following with your work, and
that's amazing. I mean, it's very surprising for us because we started this account like 2017. I believe it was the first season of De'Aaron Fox, and now we're like roughly over 14,000 followers. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, like nobody cares about the Kings.
Well, obviously but they do though. Yeah. It feels like they don't, right? Because that was my next question. I was going to ask you is do you have people that you are friends with over there in France that are Kings fans? And is there a fan base sort of over there, or is it kind of hard to find?
Yeah, sort of. I mean,
do you walk down the street with the hat on and do people say, "Hey, the Kings"?
No, absolutely not. So everybody here is more like a popular team, like Lakers, like the Warriors, like the Celtics and stuff like that. When I say I'm a fan of the Kings, and say, are you crazy or what?
Like,
why do you do that to yourself? But all the Kings fans I know right now, I knew them on Twitter. My friend started this account and quickly met me, and then we are 2 community managers on this account right now, and we met a lot of guys that we're interacting with them, and I think we have a pretty good fan base here, but we met sometimes. We had some events. We watched, for example, the 2018 draft live. Yeah. It led to some epic moments with the selection.
Upsetting day, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So coming into the draft, were you very high on Luka? Because I mean, did you guys? Do you watch more European basketball? Do you keep your eyes more on prospects that come from overseas?
Yeah, it was kind of surprising for us to see that American media, American fans were so high on Marvin Bagley, and we're like, Doncic is an absolute star in the making. I mean, he's 17. He's like the MVP of every European championship is played in. So I mean, that was for us the obvious choice. We saw the rumors like the Kings are going to select Bagley. Well, like, it cannot happen. I mean, if the Kings select Marvin Bagley, everybody's gonna make fun of us.
You're gonna riot. Everyone's gonna riot.
Yeah. We were obviously that's the moment we were the most upset, I think, as King fans in the past few years.
I don't think you're alone. I was at the draft party at Golden One Center, and it wasn't received well. And I know I was like, I don't want to dunk on Marvin. I don't want. I said I feel bad that he's kind of gotten the rap he's gotten, but it was a monumental mistake. Obviously, it's one that set them back a couple years. As good as I think he is, like we talked about, Luka, my goodness, man, he plays like LeBron when he's really on. Like, the numbers he's posting are 25, 10, 11 triple doubles. So yeah, I just was wondering if you watched him as he came to be who he is. But and then also, like, my other question is, you asked me what my day's like when I watch the games, but I'm on my time out here, and it's 7 p.m. or 6 o'clock, and I'm hanging out. I'm not tired at all. You're watching games at 3, 4 a.m. in the morning. How does that process? How does that process go? Do you try to get some sleep, and then do you wake up and flip on the game, or?
Yeah, that's exactly the case. Most of the games, when they're played in Sacramento, I believe it is 7 over there, and it's 4 a.m. in the morning for us. I sleep before, and then I watch the game, and then I go to work. That's simple as that. Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do for work?
I don't know how to explain that. I work in the administration as a low person.
No, I'm sure you're not low, man. Come on.
Low, like the low.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's cool though, man. That's a grind though. That's a grind right there, my friend. You're waking up, you're watching the games, you're doing a good job covering them, and then you go to work, man. That's awesome. That's really, really cool.
That's something I really like. I mean, that's what I'm doing the most of my free time. I mean, we have the Twitter account, we have a website. We try to do the same on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. So do some lives on Twitch, do some podcasts. I mean, that's I'm all about the Kings. I don't know why, because they give me so much hard times so often, but I really like what I do. That's why I asked you this question on the beginning of the podcast, because this is like you have like my dream job. I mean, I would love to do this for a living. I mean, you guys are so lucky. I mean, I would like to be in Sacramento and be able to do the same thing for the Kings. And I mean, being a professional in it. I mean,
thank you, man. But I tell you what, it's never too late. You keep doing what you're doing, and you already are seeming to kind of form a path here. There is a huge market for the NBA in all these countries around the world, and you see it with what you're doing right now, how you've made this account and you've grown your work into what it's become. Don't give up on it. You know, that sounds cliche to say. But I mean it. Like, I never thought I would be here either. And you work hard and things kind of work out, and you're doing what you need to do, man. And it's inspiring for me to watch you do it. It's really, really cool to see, just because my whole life I've never really thought about over in Europe, people even knowing who the Sacramento Kings are, and you're proving that people know about it. And it might not feel like they all know, but 15,000 plus people would say otherwise. So congrats to you on what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I know that it's going to keep growing, and I'll be watching the whole time. But the last thing I wanted to add about this part, I know it's hard for you, is think about how sweet it's going to be when the team is good. How sweet that's going to be.
Yeah.
All the waiting, all of the pain, the agony, the watching games at 4 a.m. If they could just make the playoffs someday, I think it'd make it a lot more worth it for you, me, anyone that has to cover this team for a full-time job, half-time job, or just being a fan, putting their time into this team, which is so valuable. You know, there's not enough hours in the day, but I really do think that all the time. And the fact that we put our hours into watching this team, covering this team, being fans of, we all deserve better. And I hope that we get that really soon, because this city deserves better. You guys over there overseas watching this team deserve better. And I hope it comes very soon.
Right. The thing I love about this team, like I said, when we came, we had an amazing experience. I mean, we were treated like real legit media members. We've been credentialed, being able to go side court, to see the warm-ups, be able to go to the locker rooms, be able to have photos with the players, get our jerseys signed. I mean, there's some stuff I never thought about when I started this account. I mean, well, when we had the idea to go to Sacramento, we're like, we're gonna see a few games, and that's just amazing. I mean, that is amazing. But the whole experience we had was wow. I mean,
did they win? Did they win for you?
No, not. I believe it was the Raptors. We had the Sixers, Raptors, Trailblazers, which we won, but it was on the road, and then the Pelicans game in famous Pelicans game.
You were at that game. I'm so sorry, man. That is brutal. That's so tough. But at least you got to see them. You know, at least that wasn't the one. I know they lost, but the experience and you got to go to Golden One Center, and I'm happy you got to come. What do you think of Golden One Center? Did you like Golden One Center?
Yeah, that's amazing. An amazing arena. I mean, that's all the technology, and that's huge. And the thing that's amazes about that, some people recognized us. I mean, we took photos with random fans in the hallways of the Golden One Center, and we're like, what? Well,
incredible. And I'm sure if you came back now with all the work you've done since, and I'm sure if you came back now, it'd be even more so.
I'd love to. Absolutely love to. I mean, I love to talk to you guys about the team. Meet you. I met very most of the main media members. I think when we came to Sacramento, it was amazing to share some time with them, and I'd love to share a moment with you, for example.
Absolutely.
When we go. Yeah.
Please. You have a friend of me now. You have a friend of me. You come, let me know if you're coming out here, and you know, we'll have a great time. Just we can talk about the Kings, get some food, whatever. But I'm always open to making new friends in this world, and especially ones that have an interest in this beautiful basketball team that we love to painfully watch. So I'm excited for you to come back whenever that time comes. And I know things are crazy right now in the world, and hopefully things can kind of get to a point where we all feel safe enough to travel and make those moves. But very cool, man. And it even be better next time. Yeah,
I think so. To end this podcast, do you have some words you want to say to the French Kings fans?
Yeah, I mean, anyone out there that's interacted with me, and I've seen you, believe me, I've seen you, and I really appreciate it. I can't believe that I'm even talking to you right now. It means a lot to me just to have that kind of to reach, and just know that what I'm doing, I feel like, you know, it means I'm doing an okay job of it, and I really do appreciate it. It means more to me than you know. Your support means more to me than you know. I know that the team, believe it or not, the support you guys show and give every day does not go unnoticed. I'm really appreciative, and just thank you for having me. Thank you for interacting with me. Thanks for giving me the time. Just this team, again, I've said it, I'll say it again and again. Life will be a lot better for all of us if they can just put together some wins and we can have some happy conversations. But hopefully I have some fun things to write, and I'll be watching to see what you do. And if anybody wants to talk Kings, please tweet at me, direct message me. I try to get back to everybody and talk to them about most things. And just thank you so much.
Thank you, Franklin, to have been with us on this podcast. It was a pleasure to meet you and to talk with you about all that stuff. Maybe we'll do it one more time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whenever you want, please let me know. And hopefully we have some good neat things to talk about as far as the deadline goes. And if things, you can always, reach out to me, and I'm always happy to come on. Okay,
great. So you're on time. Maybe regarding the game.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it worked out perfect. I'm about to throw on some clothes, and I'll be out my door, and I'll be there. I'm 5 minutes away, so it worked perfect.
Oh,
man.
Great. You're in downtown Sacramento?
I'm like right near down, like about 5 minutes from downtown. You just hop on this highway right here, and I'll be downtown in 4 minutes. So that's perfect timing. You timed it perfect, sir.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm great. I'm very grateful it worked out, and that's always a pleasure to have some US media members with us. It means a lot to us, which we are not professionals, but it's very cool to talk to you guys. So I hope we'll do it soon.
Likewise, it's even cooler to talk to you, man. And believe it or not, it's cooler to talk to you guys and get your perspective. It's incredible. And let's go, Kings. Let's make some stuff happen here.
Yeah. Thank you, Franklin. Thank you to have been with us on this podcast, and bye.
Thank you so much. Take care.